Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and today's show is going to be very, very special because we are going to be talking to someone who knows ins and out of Indian elections. He's none other than Professor Sanjay Kumar, who is co-director of Lokniti, and there is much more about him that we'll be learning as we go along. But I would like to mention before I invite him that his recent book, Elections in India, an overview, is also something that makes us excited to be connecting with him. So without further ado, welcome संजय जी. स्वागत है आपका.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me for the discussion.
So I want to begin with you by requesting you to share some details about what is Lok Niti, and
Hmm.
you are a co-director for this. This is a research program at the Center for the Study of Developing Societies. And there has been a lot of focus on Indian politics by various publications. You have also written about post-Mandal politics in Bihar, changing electoral patterns, and not getting into all the details. But talk to me
Hmm.
about the significance of Lokniti-like organization for Indian democracy.
Uh, Let me clarify that Lokniti is not an organization, standalone organization. It is a group of scholars. It is a network spread across the country, which works on issues which connects to which concerns the common people. We have picked up the issues of electoral politics, youth, farmers, policing, and there are several other issues. This is a research program at CSDS. CSDS is a parent organization, Center for the Study of Developing Societies, and the research program allows us to expand, develop networks across the country, develop network across the South Asian countries. So we have been doing a lot of research, empirical research. These are all survey based research. We go to the people, collect information, do the analysis. So the unique thing about Lokniti is that it is very grounded. We do very grounded research. It's survey based. So we go to the people whomsoever we want to study. If we want to study policing in India, either we speak to the people, we do interviews of the people, or if the focus is to study about how policemen think about their own job prospect, so we have interviewed 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 policemen across spread across the country. So that's unique. And when we study politics, when we study elections, and that we have been doing for the last 3 decades, we try and go to the people because, in our opinion, it is the voter who decides who is going to win. It is the voter who decides which issues they are likely to vote for. So this is this is unique about Lokniti's research on elections, politics, democracy, and several other issues.
Wonderful. So now let's go to a book that you have co-written, which talks about voting behavior of voters in India. That came in 2013, I believe. Now,
13. Yes.
and now as we speak in 2024, do you see there has been some significant shift in the voting behavior or the priorities of voters in India?
Let me clarify that the book was written in 2013. It does not talk about voting behavior as such, but it does talk about how do you measure voting behavior. So it is a book on methods. How do you measure voting behavior? If you are referring to my book on elections in India, post-Mandal politics in Bihar, or the book on changing electoral patterns in Delhi from caste to class, these are the books which talks about how political behavior of the people or the voters have changed, or if it has not changed. But this book tells us about how do you actually collect the voting behavior, how do you analyze the voting behavior. Your second question, yes, if I look at the how, if voting behavior of people have changed or not, yes, to a great extent. If I look at how politics in this country has changed during last 10 years, remember, BJP is a party which got 18.6% votes in 2009 Lok Sabha election. And if you look at the vote share of BJP in 2019, which is a period of 10 years, BJP's vote share has increased from 18.6% to 37.6%. It is almost a 20% increase in a party's vote share, and I am referring to the BJP. If that has happened, you would assume that sections of voters may have moved in favor of BJP, would have voted in favor of BJP compared to 2009. And that really has happened on the ground. Just to cite a couple of data at this moment, if I look at the vote share of the BJP among the OBC voters, which is much talked about, and it is talked about because OBC voters are in very large numbers, roughly 45 to 50% of the total voters in the country. So between 96 and 2009, BJP used to get almost 23, 24, 25% of the OBC vote. But if I look at the data based on the surveys, based on the research which Lokniti has conducted, in 2019 Lok Sabha elections, BJP managed to get 44% of the OBC vote, almost doubled the support base of BJP among the OBC. That's the case with regard to the Dalit voter. That's the case with regard to the tribal voter in favor of BJP. So there is a massive shift in favor of BJP during the last one decade. I should also mention, if you look at how the young voter in India, and when I am referring to the young voter, these are the voters in the age group of 18 to 23, 24. They have also moved in favor of BJP in a big way during last one decade.
So let's talk a little bit about voting behavior, and you have definitely given some insight on how to measure voting behavior. Keeping that in mind, what do you think are the key factors that has led to this phenomenal success of BJP? Of course, everybody talks about Modi factor, but from your point of view as a researcher and someone who is studying a political, the whole phenomena, what is it that has brought BJP to the stage?
Uh, I won't say that BJP have come to power only because of Prime Minister Modi, but I would really say, and I this comes out very clearly from the data, from the empirical evidence from the ground, that the BJP as we see now, it has become this kind of a BJP only and only because of the influence of Prime Minister Modi. We've been asking a question, just trying to get a sense of how big Prime Minister Narendra Modi is an asset for BJP, which is to say, uh, what proportion of people actually vote in the name of Narendra Modi and they end up voting for BJP. In 2014, if out of 100 votes which BJP got, roughly 24 votes were added to the BJP only in the name of Prime Minister Modi. If I look at the same data for 2019 Lok Sabha elections, in 2019 Lok Sabha elections, assuming if BJP gets 100 votes, 32 votes were contributed only by Prime Minister Modi's influence. So, yes, the massive shift of the voters among voters of different caste communities, one of the prime moving factor is Prime Minister Modi. People have a lot of trust in Prime Minister Modi. Yes, there are some anxieties on the ground at this moment, but still, the movement of the voters or the attraction for the BJP among various sections of voters is largely and largely because of Prime Minister Modi, being a prominent leader of the party and being the Prime Minister of this country.
Professor Sanjay ji, you are not only an academician, you are also working on the ground, and you have traveled far and wide in recent election season also. You just came back to your Delhi space. Talk to me about what do you see is the major issue which is somewhere instrumental in the decision making of a common voter. And I know there are multiple segments, but in general, if you look at the top three priorities, yeah.
No, no, you're right. We have already mentioned that there are lots and lots of priorities, and the priorities are slightly different if you look at, different castes of voter, different religion of the voter, and also different classes of voter. So the concern for a poor voter who is earning, who is a daily wage earner would be very different compared to people in academia, people in journalism, people who owns big business houses. So the concerns are slightly different if we look at different sections of voter. But overall, I do get a sense that Prime Minister Modi is one of the important factor. But even beyond that, I think the very large number of voters, almost 65% of the Indian voters vote for the party. So the for them, the biggest consideration is party, strong affiliation to a party, strong disenchantment for another party. So, strong affiliation for party A, B, or C, depending upon what kind of a voter you are, depending upon which section of voters you belong to. That's the prime consideration, consideration of a very large number of voters in India today. As I mentioned, 65% of Indian voters are voting only and only for party. Loyalists have gone up in India over last 10 decade, over last 1 decade, and that's the biggest consideration of whom people want to vote for in the Lok Sabha and state assembly elections.
So, Professor Sanjay, there were days when certain references were like taboo. People won't talk about them in open, and especially in the political orbit, touching them was considered a complete no-no. But now things seem to be changing, and as you see, the picture of Ram Mandir, Pran Pratishtha took place at Ayodhya in big way, and many parties abstained from it, claiming that this is a political propaganda of BJP. Looking at it from the electoral's point of view, do you see there is some impressions of this particular realization of a long spread dream, which is also at the back of voters' mind?
Certainly, it is at the back of voters' mind among sections of voters, but I do see a change, a difference. When the Pran Pratishtha ceremony took place on the 22nd of January, and even till February, there was a lot of euphoria. And we and many others got a sense that this is going to be a very, very important factor in people's voting choices, because the euphoria is going to continue for the next 3, 4, 5 months, at least till the voting takes place for the 2024 elections. I do get a sense that the euphoria is not as strong as it was in February, but I'm not trying to say that this is not an issue on which people are voting. For some sections of voters, this is also an issue, but I must say I think this issue was looked far more important in the month of February compared to what it looks like at this moment. What has happened is that I think the elections, BJP wanted to contest this election on the national issues, largely on the national issues. The oppositions have been able to succeed to some extent in making this election a local election, in a sense, constituency wise constituency. So they have been able to pick up the local issues. That is why an overarching big national narrative is missing in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections at this moment.
Talking about the national issues and the local issues, going by what you just said, based on my reading and understanding, BJP is projecting only Prime Minister Narendra Modi as the face, and he is the only leader who is prominently visible on different rallies. And he's also asking them votes by referring to Modi ki guarantee. So he's suggesting that if you strengthen your candidate, you are strengthening the arms of Narendra Modi. So overall, it seems to be very much centralized campaign on the part of BJP. Will it? Yeah, allow me to add one question. Will it hurt or it'll help BJP?
No, at this moment, it is not hurting BJP. This moment, BJP, Narendra Modi is the trump card, so it's not hurting BJP at this moment. But in the long run, this may not be very good for the party, because too much of dependence on one particular person, whether it is a political party, whether it is an organization, anywhere you work. If you work in an organization, if the organization is just 1% centric, so even if the person is very charismatic, he may be helping the organization in the short run. But imagine BJP, because there would be a time when Prime Minister Modi may not be in a position to lead the BJP. So BJP might start facing a crisis at this moment. At this moment, yes, Narendra Modi is the trump card. He is the vote puller. He is the star campaigner. Uh, so he is a big asset for the party. But in the long run, I think it is necessary for the party to think of various other leaders who could lead party's campaign, because in the long run this could be very, very dangerous for the BJP.
I agree with you totally. And now look at the way he's perceived, not just perceived, but he has proven that he's a wonderful communicator, and he manages to connect with different sections of society, be it youths or be it villagers. Let's talk about the new voters, and significant number of youths would be voting for the first time. What do you read is likely to be their guiding factor while they cast their vote?
See, the two big concern of Indian voters at this moment, yeah, are unemployment and price rise. And this cuts across different sections of voters. Whether we are talking in terms of age group, we are talking in terms of locality, whether we are talking of the urban voters, rural voters. So these are the big concerns. But I think these concerns are there, but there's a parallel narrative also traveling, and the parallel narrative is about trust in Prime Minister. So for the attraction for Prime Minister Modi is going to be a big factor for those who want to vote for Modi or those who would like to vote for the BJP. So attraction for Modi, promises which Modi, Prime Minister Modi is making, that he and his government will be able to deliver if they come to power. So that's going to be the attraction for young voters. The promises made by Prime Minister Modi, attraction for Prime Minister Modi, the way he has been able to connect with the people. But there are sections of young voters for whom I think there are concerns. They are sharing the concerns of growing unemployment, and for them, unemployment may be a big concern in this election. And my own sense is that a very large number of them may not want to vote for BJP. They might end up voting for other choices which may be available to them for in different constituencies.
Certainly, and I think that is the beauty of democracy, and going towards the way BJP under Prime Minister Narendra Modi has managed to deliver to the promises made, and overall the number of people who are brought up above the below poverty line surface is also receiving favorable comments at various international forum. Then, of course, digitization of the economy, and that government of India is providing food for 80 crore people for a couple of years, handling of COVID, etc. All that is fine, but right now what bothers people is what they are facing immediately. And in that context, when you look at the small business owners and entrepreneurs, and some of them are still finding that GST has rubbed them adversely, etc. Do you see that somewhere as a current flowing in this election season for voters?
No, I don't think that the issue which you mentioned of GST, that's not an issue in this election, because this is a issue which concerns a very tiny section of the Indian population, tiny section of the Indian voters. We are referring to the businessmen. This is not a narrative on the ground. This is not an issue which makes people unhappy with the performance of the BJP government. There are other issues which I mentioned earlier, issues of unemployment, issues of price rise. These are much bigger concerns of the Indian voters at this moment compared to what you referred to as GST or any other issue.
So I'm also referring to another study where you have focused on youth in India aspirations, attitudes, anxieties. It relates to my earlier question, but looks like Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also seen as a beacon of hope. For there are many startups, and he frequently connects with young entrepreneurs, and he talks about some innovative ideas, etc. So all that works in favor of BJP significantly.
I'm not sure whether it works significantly in favor of BJP, but certainly I can say it works in favor of BJP. And look at, I'm just trying to cite some data to suggest that how the young people have been able to, you know, mm, pick up the narrative which has been mentioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We have been asking a question about what kind of a job would you like to prefer when we did our youth survey. And for a very long period of time, the choice or the preference for a government job was very high. It was as high as 65% of the Indian youth wanting to go for a government job. And for the own business, which refers to in the present day nomenclature, the startup. So the preference for going for a own business used to be only a 7 or 8% among the Indian youth. Now, if I look at the latest data which we collected, or latest study which we did a couple of years ago, only last year, the preference for, or the choice for a government job has come down from 65% to 55. And the young people who want to go for a startup, they want to have their own startup, that has gone up to almost 18-20%. So Prime Minister Modi has always been campaigning that become a job giver, don't always be a job seeker. So this is an idea which is attracting the Indian youth in a big way, and slowly that's also one of the reasons why Indian youth is getting attracted towards Prime Minister Modi. They believe in the promises made by Prime Minister Modi.
Yeah, now let's look at the opposition, and we always hear the need of strong opposition. But what has
Hmm.
happened with the major National Party of India? We have seen a lot of leaders from Congress moving out. Some have entered BJP, some are still out there. And the recent news about Radhika Kheda is also the headline. Then we have previous spokesperson of Congress, Pramod Krishnan, also coming out with certain remarks which are not going to work in favor of Congress. But let me connect also with the fact that Rahul Gandhi deciding to contest from Rai Bareli, then Amethi. So all these things, and overall the situation of Congress under leadership of Rahul Gandhi. How do you see that in this particular election cycle?
I don't think anybody would say that Congress has been flourishing under the leadership of Rahul Gandhi, and there are enough indicators for that. What is one big success story of the political party? If you manage to win election, it's a success. It gives you a story of a success story of the party. But look at how Congress has been able to perform. 2014 Lok Sabha elections, Congress ended up with 44 seats. 2019 Lok Sabha election, Congress ended up with 52 seats. If you look at the very large number of state assembly election which has been held during last one decade, Congress has not been able to do very well even in the state assembly election. So enough indication to suggest that Congress has not been at the best under Rahul Gandhi's leadership. Congress is struggling under Rahul Gandhi's leadership. If I look at the even the regional parties which are headed by strong leaders, whether it is Mamta Banerjee heading Trinamool Congress or Aam Aadmi Party being headed by Arvind Kejriwal, and we can keep taking names of very large number of regional parties. All these regional parties have a very strong leader, and those leaders are an asset for the party. Leave aside BJP because we keep talking about how big Narendra Modi is an asset for the BJP. But for the Congress, it is the reverse. Congress, the central leadership has become very, very weak. There are many examples to suggest that central leadership has become weak. Couple of years ago, there was almost a coup in the party in Rajasthan. The state leadership led a coup against the central leadership. So that's the weakness, and that is why BJP Congress has become very weak. If you look at the from the central leadership point of view, so I would say Congress is not at its best under the leadership of Rahul Gandhi. I think there has been some stability in Congress after uh, Kharge ji has taken over as the president of the party. The Congress party was at loggerheads in Rajasthan. He was able to resolve that. It's another fact that Congress was not able to win election in Rajasthan, but Congress fought very strongly in Rajasthan. So things have changed a little bit from perception point of view. But going back to your basic question, I don't think Congress is at the best under the leadership of Rahul Gandhi.
Now, Professor Sanjay Kumar, you have also talked about somewhere in your article related to impact of the predictions or survey or exit polls, whatever we say. And let me connect that with the words of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, even at the start of this election cycle, mentioning 400 par. Now, how do you see that 400 par sitting, and if any rough estimate that you, as per your calculations, have?
No, 400 par is just was kind of a slogan. And I thought it was important for BJP to raise that slogan. It is important for any party to set up a target. So BJP Prime Minister Modi set a target for the party worker that party should struggle, party should work hard, workers should work hard to get BJP a 370 seats, and for NDA it's the 400 target. But I think BJP never came anywhere close to 370, and NDA never came anywhere close to 400. Uh, 370 was used as a metaphor to keep indicating that BJP has been able to remove Article 350, 370 from Jammu and Kashmir. So BJP has never been very close to 370. My own sense is that they are at a very long distance from what the target was set by Prime Minister Modi maybe a couple of months ago. But my own sense is that even though BJP is at a distance from the target set by Prime Minister Modi, but I think BJP is very close, or at least I would say BJP has surpassed. At this moment, it looks like BJP is well ahead of the majority mark of 272 seats, which you need to form a government at the center.
Anyway, you may not want to make any guess, but there are reports. Some people are mentioning that it could be 354. Some say 374. But we'll have to wait and watch. But as we conclude, how do you feel overall the way election cycle is proceeding in terms of the overall strength of Indian democracy?
See, it is such a big event. There would be anxieties, there would be concerns raised by different political parties, and the concerns have been raised by many political parties, many analysts, and different sections of people about the lower turnout, and especially when the turnout figures were revised by the election commission, and election commission took almost 11 days to in updating the figures. So there were anxieties, there were concerns. Such a big event, there would be some anxiety, some concerns. But if you look at the history of Indian elections, 17 Lok Sabha elections, and more than like 5,000 state assembly elections. Yes, there are always issues, there are concerns, there are contestations. But finally, when the results are announced, it is accepted by the people of this country. Governments have changed several times. If you look at the Lok Sabha at the center, governments have changed so many times. State assembly elections, government have changed so many times. There are issues at the time of election, but once the new government takes oath, forms a government, I think things get settled. That is an indication that, at least if we talk about the electoral democracy, it is India has a matured electoral democracy, and it is maturing day by day. I don't see any sign of weakening of India's electoral democracy.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. This also somewhere addresses the allegation that is coming in again and again from the opposition party that this is going to be the last election if Prime Minister Narendra comes back. There's no democracy, no constitution, etc. But I think these are the rhetorics. And overall, Indian democracy has not just survived; it is thriving. And thanks to academicians like you who also keep an eye in an objective manner on the overall process, which also I think helps each and every section of the society. So I commend the work that you are doing with Lokniti and independently, and I appreciate you joining us and enlightening us on these topical matters. So with lots and lots of good
Thank
wishes,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanking Professor Sanjay Kumar and thanking all of you for being with us. This is Ashok.
Bye.
Namaste.